This week in Aristeia 101, it's Capture the Flag. Capture the Flag is exactly what it sounds like. This is a classic scenario found in many games ranging from, well, Aristeia all the way to Quake. So, at the beginning of the deployment step, the underdog chooses one deployment zone as a scoring zone for their team. The opposite deployment zone will be for the opponent's scoring zone. As always, these are paired up. 1 and 4, 2 and 5, 3 and 6. The orange team will place an orange counter in their scoring zone, which will represent the orange flag. The green team places the green counter in their scoring zone, obviously the green flag. Afterwards, the underdog decides which player will be the first to deploy a character. After that, players will alternate deploying one character each until they have deployed them all. Now, this is a scenario where you may deploy your characters in any space exclusively within any deployment zone that is not the opposing team's scoring zone or the central deployment zone. That's kind of actually cool. So you can be very aggressive or very defensive here. And the scoring zones, well, you pick them. You start off with and keep the scoring zone that you picked. If characters are removed from play from the Hexadome and go into the infirmary, when they are redeployed from the bench, they can be deployed in any deployment zone except the opponent's scoring zone. So this is a very free and open game, really, when it comes to deployment, period. Now, the crux of this whole scenario would be the flags. Both teams will have a flag in their respective scoring zone. When a character is on any space in the deployment zone that contains a rival flag, that character may capture the rival flag. To do that, well, they'll have to spend one action point and place the flag on the character's card. Afterwards, the character is said to be carrying the flag. It's kind of like you buy a state of the flag. Only the rival flag can be captured. Allies cannot hand off the rival flag. When a character that is carrying the flag finishes their activation in their own scoring zone, they have scored. Remove the flag counter from their character card and place it in any space in the opponent's scoring zone. When a character carrying a flag is sent to the infirmary, remove the flag counter from the character card and place it on any space in the central deployment zone. Now, I do want to make mention here that it doesn't really matter where they were otherwise. So it is actually possible for the flag to then end up closer to the scoring zone you want than not. So if you take someone out, do be careful of that. Now the objectives are, at the objectives round, if one of your characters is carrying the flag at the end of the round, well, that's a victory point. That's great. The counter to that is every time an enemy character carrying the flag is moved to the infirmary, well, that's a victory point. So if you have a flag on one of your characters, you need to protect them. You need to keep them out of line of sight, out of line of fire, out of range, have blockers, any number of things. You have to protect them. They are now worth a victory point if they are fragged. I've actually lost because of this fact. But the real big win here is that when you take a character, one of your characters, to your scoring zone, and this is actually an immediate thing, when they finish their activation inside their own scoring zone, that's 3 victory points. So that's actually really, really nice. And again, it's immediate. So it is possible, albeit risky, you could have it set up where you cash in one flag, it goes back to the opponent's scoring zone, and then you've got another character right there, pretty much ready in the wings to grab that next flag. So, and so it is something to think about, whether it's for you or for your opponent. Likewise, again, you want to be careful if you happen to frag an opponent and they just left your scoring zone, or they're still in it, but they have your flag. It'll end up in the center deployment zone, bringing them closer. The center is actually going to be very important when you look at this. As always, if you have 8 victory points, well, that's an immediate win at the end of the turn. Or whoever has the most victory points at the end of the 5th round, well, they win. Should there be a tie, the player who has the most frag tokens will win. I've kind of played a game with this, I believe it was with Bonsai's app. It's actually really interesting because you do have to balance, hey, I need some control. I obviously need some damage. And I need good movement. And when I say control, I mean that very broadly. You need to be able to sport. You need to be able to buff or debuff. You need to be able to make sure that things are as relatively smooth for you as you can get it. Fast movement with characters like Gato or Bichet, fantastic. Musashi is horrendously fast, fantastic. But that's not the end-all be-all, especially if you can block up areas, if you can control movement. That's going to be really big in this scenario. Now, it is worth noting that Gaia cannot play the tectonic shake tactic during this scenario. It's verboten, it is banned. This is a fun scenario. I've always enjoyed it, whether it's playing first-person shooters or other games. Heck, as a kid, you capture the flag, we used to play stuff like that. I've played it during paintball. A lot of fun. This is a great scenario. You should really give it a try, I think. Next week, we're going to talk about human targets. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.